Well, good morning. It is January the 5th, 2026, and straight from the highly caffeinated studio, this is According to Willie B., and I will be your host for the next half hour. Today, I want to do something a little unique. I don't want to say different because it's still going to be in the food and travel arena, but it's definitely going to be something a little more unique that I had an idea about doing, and I really like the sound of it, and I would love feedback on today's episode to see what you think of it as well. There will be a recipe for this to follow as well. I will post it on our According to Willie B. Facebook page, and you can check it out. I just want to caution you, and you'll understand more as we go through the episode. Make sure that you gather all ingredients ahead of time because you're going to have to source some of them through Amazon because they have to be imported. But I want to take you on a journey that surrounds history and travel and food all in one. So I hope you find this interesting, but here we go. And the food is, and I'll start it by saying this, Waraguan. And if you've ever been to Jamaica, you know what I'm talking about. And we're going to talk about jerk chicken. That's right, Jamaican jerk chicken. Now, you can get jerk chicken here in the States. Having been to Jamaica so many times, I can tell you, and as a foodie, I can tell you it is not the same. It is, I would just about say, night and day difference. And a lot of it has to do with, because it's more just taking chicken and adding a jerk flavored sauce is basically what we have here in the States. What I'm going to take you on a journey, basically we'll call it a journey through the kitchen today, is that we're going to talk about the history of Jamaican jerk chicken, and we're going to talk about why does it taste different here versus in Jamaica. And no, it's not because you're sitting on the beach eating it there and the scenery's better. That is not it. You're going to find out, just as I did, that there are a lot of differences, but they can be overcome. And with a little bit of research and study, I was able to come up with an authentic recipe as well as an authentic method of cooking Jamaican jerk chicken. But let's talk about where jerk chicken came from. So the technique originated with the Taino people who smoked and seasoned meat over wood fires using local spices and pimento wood, and the method was actually known as barbacoa. Now, we still can get, in a lot of Mexican food restaurants, we can get barbacoa today. Now, the word jerk actually comes from the Spanish word charqui, or it means to either dry meat or basically jerky. You've had beef jerky, you've turkey jerky, or whatever kind of jerky you know is your favorite. But that is the act of how to cook that meat. There's a little bit more involved in it, though, when it comes to the Jamaican process, because they will actually poke holes in the meat and allowing the marinade to permeate that chicken or whatever it is that they're going to cook. And so that's where you get a lot of that intense flavor. So if you've never had jerk chicken, it is a very smoky, subtle sweetness and definitely spicy, which has my attention written all over it in all three realms of that recipe. But you want to get all three of these components, and you have to do it a certain way or you will not get the authentic jerk chicken. So if you say, well, I've had jerk chicken, I had it in this restaurant over in Houston, okay, you did not have jerk chicken. You had chicken with jerk sauce on it, and it is not the same. Trust me. it takes about 8 hours to slow cook or jerk cook, especially chicken. Now, that's the number one meat that you will be served when you go to Jamaica. Is they typically do jerk chicken. It's relatively inexpensive when you get the chicken leg quarters. So that's and they slow, and what it does by slow cooking this meat, if today in the States we have where we may gather together on a weekend and we have a weekend barbecue, right? And you bring all the family and the neighbors and loved ones together, and it's about spending time together. It's about breaking bread together. And this was their kind of way of doing what our traditional today's modern backyard barbecue is, right? So that's what they did, because it would take about 8 hours, because they slow cook this meat. And it could be anything. It could be from wild boar. It could be, whatever it is that they're going to smoke, because we do the same thing in a backyard barbecue, right? We'll go to the grocery store and grab whatever kind of meat that, and we're going to slow smoke it. And that is a weekend process. So let's dig in a little bit more into the history of it, because I want you to get a full sense of where this dish came from, because to me, it's one of the most amazing dishes that you can ever put in your mouth. And the reason is, when you see the recipe that I'll post later today, you will see how many different seasonings and stuff that go into this. And nothing really overpowers anything unless you don't really like a lot of heat, like as far as hot spice pepper, because Scotch bonnet peppers, which is the number one ingredient in that recipe, they are very hot. They're almost the same as our habanero, but the flavor is not the same. And if you go online and you research jerk chicken, you will see you can substitute oak wood for the pimento wood, and you can substitute the habanero pepper for the Scotch bonnet pepper. Well, you're basically substituting the entire recipe, and you're cutting off you're not getting the traditional dish. And that's why I want to dive in deeper to how this dish came about, and you'll see the importance of doing it the correct way. So, in the British invasion of 1655, enslaved Africans fled into Jamaica's mountains, the Blue Mountains that you know, and they were called the Maroons, and they adopted the Taino methods for survival. And what that means is they took their African seasoning traditions and they combined it with the Taino smoking techniques, like basically digging a hole in the ground and smoking it in the ground. And they would use allspice or pimento wood, if you will, and Scotch bonnets to preserve wild boar and other meats, smoking it in these pits to hide the smoke so they couldn't be found. And then, so it's basically a symbol of resistance, right? It's the fusion created a unique, flavorful food that represented, and still does today, freedom and ingenuity. So now let's talk about the ingenuity, because now they still, in some parts of Jamaica, they still cook this chicken, they still cook this dish in these in-ground pits. But now what they have is they've adopted, and they started cooking these. You've been to your big box stores and seen these kind of inexpensive smokers out front, where it's basically a oil barrel cut in half, if you will, to give you a picture for reference. And they cut it in half, and that's what they call their smoker. But they don't call it a smoker. They call it a pan. So it's called a jerk pan. Now, I have seen so many different styles of jerk pans in Jamaica. It's really cool. But one of my favorite was going to a particular tourist attraction. It was up in the mountains, and there was a guy on a bicycle. Now, you got to understand, it's hot. It's Jamaica. It's July. And he's riding a bicycle with this trailer basically fashioned to fit onto his bicycle with this jerk pan, aka smoker, and it's already cooking. He's already got the chicken cooking on there, but the smoke is coming out of the smokestack on that jerk pan. And because it probably took him a good probably 30, 45 minutes to pedal that bicycle up to the top of that mountain, so that when we come out of the attraction at the top of the mountain, he would be set up and ready to sell you some jerk chicken and some of the best you've ever had, I promise you. So it was a slow method of cooking, and they do a lot of the jerk pans, aka smokers. So there's a lot of different history in the jerkin and the Jamaican. I'm word salad galore today, but in the Jamaican jerk chicken, there's a lot of history. There's a lot of just pain and suffering that they've went through in their lives, and then all the different combinations of cooking techniques and spices that were native to the islands. Because if you remember, Jamaicans are many people, one people out of many. And so you also get recipes that are brought from a lot of different cultures and then combined to make one. And here's a recipe for one of the most famous dishes out of Jamaica, Jamaican jerk chicken, that is not only bringing cooking methods from other ethnic groups, but also bringing spices from other islands and things that are native to that island. So this is what makes this dish really, really unique. So the first thing you'd have to do is get you some jerk, just like leg quarters. That's baked. And if you're one of these people that only like white meat chicken, I hear you, and I'm one and the same, and I'm not really all that crazy about dark meat chicken, but I've had both, and I just don't think you get the same flavor. It's something about that leg quarter of that chicken that just really brings out the flavor of this recipe. And so I'm going to kind of run through all the ingredients that's in this recipe, and we're going to talk about each one. And I will give you all the quantities and everything for the recipe and the actual cooking method later today on our social media. But for right now, I want to run through how many different flavors and spices that are in this dish. And what you want to do, and I'll go ahead and tell you now, you want to make a double batch of this marinade. And the reason being is because you're going to use half of it to marinate the chicken, and the other half you're going to use as the sauce. I've had it both ways, and I prefer when you save the second half of that sauce, I prefer to put it in a pan, a metal pan, and set it on the smoker as well, and kind of let it cook a little bit, but it also gets a little bit of that smokiness in it, and it gets a little bit of that deeper, richer color by being on over the fire. And then now, there's your jerk sauce, your jerk glaze, whatever you want to call it. Now you're going to have some true jerk chicken. And don't forget to take, you can take a wooden skewer or a fork or whatever it is, and you can really permeate that chicken just so that marinade gets down into that chicken, because you're going to slow cook this chicken over about 225 degrees, and you're going to smoke it for 8 hours. Now, you and I both know that's a long time to cook chicken. But again, it's jerk chicken. And it's not tough. And that's the whole purpose of this marinade. It keeps the moisture inside of that meat and just makes it just irresistibly delicious. But you've got things like, the pimento wood. Now, everybody says, well, you can use a gas grill, or you can use some oak or some charcoal. No. You do not substitute crackers for pecans when you make a pecan pie. So don't go substituting things in this recipe. Make it the way it says so that you can enjoy, because it's a journey in your kitchen. You're basically taking a trip to Jamaica in your own kitchen if you do it step by step and don't cut any corners. So we're gonna make the agreement right here that when we make this, we're going to stick to the recipe to the letter. So pimento wood. Now, I and you both know that we cannot get pimento wood here in the States or anywhere that I know of. But what you can do, and what the Jamaicans do, sometimes they don't always have pimento wood, but they will use pimento leaves from the pimento tree. And guess what? You can go on Amazon and you can buy a little bag of pimento leaves. So, I mean, now you want to make sure that you soak those in water before you put them on the grill, because you want it to create that smoke. And by soaking the leaves in water, because they're dried, the leaves are dried, soaking them in water will create that pimento wood smoke, putting it into the chicken, giving you that flavor that you need to get to have traditional Jamaican jerk chicken. So that's the first thing. Scotch bonnet peppers. Everybody, I have spoken to so many people, and they're like, "Oh, well, you can use Scotch bonnet pepper." No, it is not. It's in the pepper family, but so is a jalapeno. So is a bell pepper, but you wouldn't use that. So you can go onto Amazon once again, and you can find some. It's like a pepper mash, if you will. It's like a pureed Scotch bonnet peppers, and I mean it is absolutely phenomenal. It is Scotch bonnet peppers, but it's just blended in a puree. So I caution you on your heat level how much you like, because Scotch bonnet peppers are like habanero; they are very hot. So if you like heat, you pour it on. But then you want to use native spices like garlic, and you want to use soy sauce, and you want to use Worcestershire sauce, and you want to use thyme. Thyme is a big thing in the islands. You want to use not only like a Spanish onion or a regular yellow onion, but you also want to use scallions. Now, everybody says, well, scallions, green onions, scallions, green onions. I have always been told to only use scallions, and everybody says it's the same thing as a green onion. Tomato, if you want to use scallions, green onions, I'll let you switch that one. That's the only thing. So, because it is easier to find green onions and scallions, so that is tomato, potato. So then you're gonna make oil. You're gonna put oil in there to blend all these dry ingredients together. I cannot say this enough, do not use olive oil. Olive oil has a very strong taste. Do not use avocado oil. Use either vegetable oil or canola oil. These are two of the oils that they use over in the island. So that's the oil that you want to use. Again, when you see this recipe on our social media later today, it's going to be very specific in the ingredients to use, and a very specific on the method. And if you really want true Jamaican chicken right here at home, all you got to do is take this journey through the kitchen. Now, thyme is also a native to the Jamaican island. Cinnamon is also native to the island. So you're going to use some cinnamon. You're going to use some cloves. You're going to use some nutmeg, and it's very small amounts, like a half teaspoon here and a half teaspoon of this, etc., etc. Lime. Limes are very prevalent to the island. So you'll not only want to use some lime juice, you'll also want to use some lime zest. So all of these flavors of these spices that are island type spices, you can get every one of these spices. Now, there's two ways you can go find all of these ingredients. If you don't have the luxury of having like a really big grocery store where you live that has a good ethnic section where you can get some of these spices, you can go to like a Caribbean or an international store. Or if you don't have either one of those near you, then you can also, like I said, go to Amazon, because you can find every single ingredient for this other than the chicken. And I don't know, maybe Amazon delivers chicken too. I don't know. They deliver everything else. But you can get, because you want to use allspice, but you want allspice berries. And these are a dried berry. and you need the allspice berry. And you can get the ones from Jamaica on Amazon. Now, this is not a commercial for Amazon. I'm just telling you where you can go get the ingredients for this recipe, because I do not want you to deviate from this, not 1 ounce, other than the scallions / green onions. And then you want about 6 bay leaves. Again, bay leaves being another leaf that is prevalent to the island. So you see all these different ingredients. You can tell that there was a lot of different representation from different ethnic groups with all the different spices and stuff, but it was all from the island, including, the method of cooking over the pimento wood. And if you'll follow this recipe and gather all these ingredients ahead of time, and you will smoke this chicken at 225 degrees for about 6 to 8 hours, I promise you, you will have the most authentic Jamaican jerk chicken that is in the United States. I have done this recipe, and it is absolutely phenomenal. Now, I like mine with a little bit of heat in it, but I try to follow this recipe to the letter because I want all the other flavors to come through. You're going to think, sometimes when you take a bite, you're going to say, oh, I really taste the nutmeg, or I really taste the allspice, and allspice is okay to come through over some of the other ingredients, because allspice really gives you that traditional island flavor when it comes to cooking. So I assure you, the aroma from this dish, you're going to want to stick your feet in the sand. Now, if you have sand in your kitchen, that's a whole nother issue. And if you like living on the beach that much that you have sand in your kitchen, then by all means, I take my hat off to you. But just understand that you cannot deviate from this recipe, not one little bit, if you want the recipe to be authentic. And that's what I've tried to do for you guys today, is to give you a journey into the island of Jamaica by giving you a way to cook one of the most prevalent dishes that has gone beyond, let's say, the borders of Jamaica. It is well represented. Most international places that you go to, if you go to international, they all have, we got jerk chicken. If you see a Jamaican restaurant, one of the biggest things that they're going to advertise is that they have jerk chicken. And I've not found one here in the U.S., and if somebody knows of one, I'd be glad to go check it out. But I have not found any true jerk chicken here in the United States, because it is very time consuming. It is very painstaking to cook and to gather up all of the different ingredients and stuff that you need. I mean, you can go to Jamaica nowadays, and jerk chicken is even more prevalent than it ever was. It's a national dish. It's found in street side jerk centers and restaurants. And basically worldwide. Just like jerk chicken, everybody knows what jerk chicken is, but you have to stop and ask yourself, have I really had true jerk chicken? Well, there's one way to find out. All you have to do is gather up these ingredients, invest about 8 hours on a nice Saturday, and voila, you'll have your jerk chicken. And you can say, hey, I know all about jerk chicken. And you learned it right here on According to Willie B. Hey, I hope you guys have enjoyed this journey through the kitchen and a culinary experience beyond the United States border, and to check something out that maybe you've had and maybe you haven't. I would love to hear anybody that takes this recipe that I post later today and you cook this recipe. I would love to hear how it turned out and what you thought of it. And if you've had jerk chicken before, how did it compare to what you had in Jamaica? Not here. I'm not worried about how it compares to here. Let me know how you think it compared to the jerk chicken in Jamaica, because I've done this, and to me, it is as close to the jerk chicken in Jamaica as you can possibly get. I'm sure there's some little family secrets that they do, and I've tried to squeeze those out every time I've been over there, but sometimes those grandmas over there, they keep those recipes very tight-lipped. If you don't believe me, it's almost like an Italian nonna. You ask her about her Sunday gravy recipe, she'll cook you a pot, but she's not going to give you the recipe. So, it's something about recipes, man. Those family recipes, people keep tight-lipped on those. But I will definitely post this recipe, and hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I really thought this was unique. I would like to do this again. There's some other foods that I have eaten in our travels that are, when it comes to getting them at home, it's just not the same. So I hope you enjoyed this journey through the kitchen. I also want to tell you guys about a new podcast I started. It is in the According to Willie B series from the Highly Caffeinated Studio, but it is called Real Slot Talk, and it is all about the world of slot machines. So if you are a slot player, definitely check out Real Slot Talk. There's one episode up, and there'll be another one up later today. And it's taken off. It's taken off as just as much as this one has. So obviously I've hit onto something that some people like, or maybe people just like to hear me rattle. I'm not sure which that is. But, I always wondered if I could talk enough to fill up one podcast. And now I'm talking to fill up two. We're not going to try the third time. I don't think third time would be a charm. But definitely go check out Real Slot Talk over there. It's under the According to Willie B. You can find the link to it on the According to Willie B website, which is www.accordingtowillieb.com. And I cannot let you go until I tell you, hey, don't forget to caffeinate and conquer. And all you got to do is just get you some delicious caffeine. You can wash down that jerk chicken with it. Until I talk to you again next week, have a great day, and I appreciate each and every one of you for listening. Bye-bye.